Pastor Roy Gerhardt from Galloway United Methodist Church in Franklin, Pennsylvania, sharing a few words of encouragement to help us follow after Jesus. You know, I've heard it said many times over that you can own a dog, but you never own a cat. If you have a cat for a pet in your home, it owns you. Well, the truth is that anything that we buy into to take into our lives eventually owns a piece of us. Even with a dog, you own a responsibility of care, nurturing, feeding, and all of those kinds of things that go into that. Fact is, there are millions of people that went out during the lockdowns and COVID and got dogs from shelters. And talking to people in shelters, they fully anticipate this year to see a big backwash on that, where many people realize the responsibility that that entails, and all of a sudden they're like, I can't be dealing with this now that I'm got to be out and about in life and I'm not locked up in a room. And so they're going to bring them back. You see, there is a big buy-in in all of our lives, and if we don't recognize that once we buy into something that it owns a piece of us, that we're not the ones in charge, we have actually sold ourselves to whatever it is that we bought. Until we realize that, we're not going to realize the heavy burdens that we buy into or the responsibilities that we carry. You know, the people of Israel wanted God to give them a king, and they insisted that they needed a king to be able to make them like all the other peoples, to put them on an even footing with everyone around them, that they would have a king then who could go out and fight their battles for them. And this was this big buy-in that they had in wanting a king. But the Lord said to Samuel as prophet, the Lord said, hey, go give them what they ask for. But you tell them up front the cost that this is going to entail. That whenever they exchange me being the Lord of their lives because they think I'm too much, that I require too much of them, that I'm too heavy a burden for them to carry, just remind them what they're buying into when they get themselves an earthly king. That they are going to have all sorts of responsibilities where that king's going to come along and demand their sons and daughters be of service to him. That king is going to put them into military service. That king is going to require payment of taxes to them. This king is going to accumulate to himself wealth, power, all sorts of things. And these kings that they are going to foster out of this are going to put them under such heavy burdens that eventually they're going to cry out to God and say, oh, please help us. We're so oppressed. And God told Samuel, you tell him on that day, I'm going to be somewhere else. I'm not going to be listening. I'm going to say, talk to the hand. You ask for it. You got it. And now it owns you. You see, that's the thing about life, is that what we buy into actually owns then a part of our lives. You think about it, all of us, we want stuff. We want to be able to have a house, we want a car, we want, a phone, we want all of these different things, right? And we're always looking for the next step, the next improved model. We want bigger and better. We want it to be larger and more finished out. We want more tricks on it, all of those things. And we think, wow, once I get all of those things, when I get the big house, the big car, the big phone, the big vacation, the big wardrobe, whatever it is, even to say I want the big job, and the big family, all of these things, we say, man, I want all of that stuff. The fact of the matter is, though, is that every single thing that we buy into now owns a piece of us. You got to make those payments. You've got to do all the upkeep and maintenance. You've got to continue to stay on track, to stay up to date. If you're going to have the latest wardrobe, then you've got to keep at it constantly, trying to stay in it. You want the biggest job, then you've got to be competitive constantly. You understand, there is something in this that owns you and me now. We don't buy things and own them, but like a cat, they own us. And so that you and I have got to be very, very careful what we buy into. That's what the Lord was warning his people about. Be careful what you buy into, because once you buy in, it owns you. And so that some things that once they own you are going to ruin and wreck your life. They're going to suck you dry. They're going to take everything from you and give nothing back. God invites us to buy into him. And he promises us that when we buy into him, that he is not just going to suck the life out of us, he's going to in fact pour life into us. He's going to give meaning and purpose that gives value to the sacrifice of giving our lives to him. But he requires all, your whole life. That's right. When you buy in with all of your life. But when you buy in, he gives you all of his life. May God bless you today. And as you share this good news, may God make you a blessing wherever he takes you.